Anna Cole was 30 years old when she tragically passed away on April 27, 2024. She had been married to David Cole, a prominent pastor at Divine Haven Church in South Carolina, for 7 years. When Anna was found dead from a single gunshot wound to the head, the circumstances raised questions no one wanted to confront. As details of her past and marriage surfaced, a growing chorus of family members, friends, neighbors, and media began to speculate. Many believed one explanation made sense. Anna Cole had not ended her own life, she had been murdered.
Hi there, I'm Daniel, and welcome to Darkly Wired. Today's case delves into an intricate web of allegations involving emotional, mental, and spiritual abuse, murder, infidelity, church corruption, and systemic failures in law enforcement. Despite the investigation being officially closed, lingering doubts and speculations persist.
David Cole, then in his early 30s, had a gift for commanding attention. As the youth pastor at Divine Haven Church, he was known for his ability to connect with young congregants, weaving humor and warmth into his sermons. His charisma wasn't just limited to the pulpit, it extended to his mentorship, particularly with Anna. At just 14 years old, Anna was drawn to David's energy and seemed eager to prove herself under his guidance. Anna's family, new to the congregation, saw David as a positive influence. Her parents encouraged her involvement in church activities, never questioning the attention David gave their daughter. At first, it seemed innocent. David would include Anna in planning youth group events or brainstorming ideas for fundraisers. But as months turned into years, the frequency of their private conversations began to raise quiet eyebrows among those close to the family. By the time Anna was 16, she was often seen in David's office after hours, discussing church initiatives. While many gave David the benefit of the doubt, others couldn't ignore the subtle shifts in his behavior. He often referred to Anna in glowing terms, calling her wise beyond her years and a future leader. During sermons, he sometimes made veiled comments about the purity and potential of the younger generation, his gaze lingering just a moment too long in her direction. Angela Cole, David's wife at the time, began to notice these interactions and grew increasingly uneasy. She confided in a close friend who later recalled Angela saying, "I feel like I'm competing for my husband's attention, and the opponent is a teenage girl." Angela's concerns were dismissed by David, who accused her of jealousy and a lack of faith in his ministry. At 18, Anna surprised many by marrying Nathan Marks, a clean-cut and devout member of the congregation. Nathan, 3 years her senior, was a natural leader who ran the church's sports ministry and shared Anna's deep faith. Their union was celebrated as a model of young love rooted in God's will, with none other than David officiating the ceremony. Yet, even as Anna and Nathan settled into married life, David's influence over Anna remained strong. Nathan reportedly expressed frustration to friends about the amount of time Anna spent consulting with David on church matters. "It's like I married the church," Nathan once told a confidant, "and David is the head of it." By 2015, David's marriage to Angela began to crumble under the weight of her suspicions. The final straw came when Angela discovered text messages between David and Anna, messages that were anything but pastoral. One, Angela confided to a friend, read, "I feel like you see me, Ann. You really see me. That's rare in this world." The situation escalated when Angela walked into David's office unannounced and found him and Anna in a compromising situation. While the exact nature of what she witnessed remains unclear, it was enough for Angela to file for divorce just weeks later. The news of David and Angela's split rippled through the congregation, but David acted quickly to control the narrative. From the pulpit, he painted himself as a man struggling against adversity, weaving Angela's departure into a larger story of betrayal and redemption. Meanwhile, Anna's marriage to Nathan quietly dissolved. Though no official reason was given, those close to the couple noted that Nathan left Divine Haven Church shortly after the divorce, never to return. By 2016, David and Anna were married, their union causing a permanent divide within the congregation. Some saw it as a story of love prevailing against the odds. Others viewed it as confirmation of the inappropriate relationship they'd long suspected. As David's new wife, Anna became a stepmother to his 5 children and took on prominent roles within Divine Haven Church, including leading worship, overseeing youth ministries, and organizing international missions. Anna's passion for her work was evident, particularly in her trips to Kenya, where she supported education and faith-based initiatives. However, behind the scenes, their marriage was marked by turmoil. Anna and David's marriage, though seemingly perfect from the outside, was fraught with challenges that painted a much darker reality. Early on, Anna became increasingly isolated from her family and friends, a pattern that many now view as a deliberate move by David to maintain control. According to Anna's sister, she often expressed feeling trapped, saying, "David doesn't just want a wife, he wants a disciple." Despite her unwavering dedication to the church and her stepchildren, Anna struggled under the immense weight of her responsibilities. Friends described her as constantly exhausted, juggling church duties with David's expectations at home. He reportedly controlled every aspect of her life, from what she wore to how she interacted with male congregation members. By 2018, whispers of infidelity began to circulate around Divine Haven Church. Several women in the congregation came forward with concerns about David's inappropriate behavior, though none dared to speak publicly. Anna, caught in the crossfire, defended her husband vehemently, claiming the accusations were attempts to undermine their ministry. However, those closest to her noticed a change. Anna began journaling obsessively during this time, documenting not just her thoughts but also peculiar incidents. One entry read, "I love him, but I don't know who I married. He knows everything about me, my fears, my dreams, my sins, but I know so little about him." Her cryptic entries also hinted at a growing fear. In one particularly chilling passage she wrote, "He watches me when I sleep. He says it's because he loves me, but I feel like prey." In 2021, a scandal involving misappropriated church funds further strained their marriage. Rumors swirled that David had used thousands of dollars meant for international missions to finance personal trips and luxury purchases. Anna, tasked with managing the church's media and outreach, found herself unwittingly entangled in the controversy. Emails revealed she had signed off on expenses without fully understanding their purpose, further isolating her from the congregation. It was during this time that Anna reached out to a childhood friend, confiding that she felt unsafe in her own home. "She told me she felt like she was living with a stranger," the friend later revealed. She even joked about how she'd probably end up as one of those women on a true crime podcast. In late 2023, Anna began experiencing unexplained health issues, including severe migraines, fatigue, and sudden bouts of dizziness. She sought medical help, but doctors were unable to find a definitive cause. Friends noticed her once vibrant demeanor had dimmed, her eyes often shadowed with what appeared to be exhaustion or fear. Around the same time, a new figure entered the scene, a young church intern named Susie. Anna reportedly confided to her sister that Susie and David worked too close for comfort. Yet, when she brought up her concerns to David, he dismissed them as paranoia, citing her declining mental health as the real issue. On the morning of April 27, 2024, Alan Jacobs, a seasoned fisherman, made his way along the banks of the Lumber River, a quiet and peaceful stretch of water in North Carolina. It was the kind of morning when the world felt still, almost suspended in time. Yet, as Alan cast his line, something pierced the serenity, faint cries that seemed to drift from the woods nearby. At first, he dismissed them, assuming it was an animal in distress. But the sound lingered, growing clearer. These weren't animal cries. These were human. Alan stopped, his instincts telling him something was wrong. His eyes scanned the riverbank as the cries continued to echo faintly in the air. Then, just as suddenly as they had started, they were gone. Silence followed, a heavy, unsettling silence. The momentary peace was shattered by the sharp, unmistakable sound of a gunshot echoing through the trees. It was a sound that instantly turned Alan's thoughts from curiosity to concern. His heart racing, Alan quickly dialed 911, reporting what he had heard, a woman's cries followed by a gunshot. The authorities responded swiftly, mobilizing search teams to comb the area. By midday, their efforts led them to a grim discovery. Anna's body was found in the river, lifeless and cold. A single gunshot wound to her head had ended her life. The news spread quickly, and the image of her body in the river seemed to sear itself into the minds of all who had known her. Her car was located not far from the scene, parked in an isolated area. Inside the vehicle, authorities found a recently purchased firearm. A receipt confirmed that Anna had bought the weapon just hours before her death. The evidence appeared clear. Anna had taken her own life. The police were quick to rule it a suicide, citing the weapon purchase and the gunshot wound as key indicators. But as the investigation unfolded, those who knew Anna began to voice their doubts. Her family and close friends, many of whom had witnessed her personal struggles in the months leading up to her death, rejected the police conclusion. They felt there was far more to the story than what the evidence suggested. Anna was not the woman they had known, and they could not reconcile the vibrant, passionate person they had loved with the idea of her ending her own life. In the weeks leading up to her tragic death, those who had been closest to her noticed troubling changes. Anna had always been the life force of every room she entered, energetic, enthusiastic, and deeply committed to her faith and her work at Grace Haven Church. There were whispers among those who knew her best that Anna had started to feel increasingly trapped in her marriage. Reports of heated arguments, tension between the couple, and moments when Anna seemed to be on the edge of exhaustion circulated among their friends and family. She had even confided in a few people about her concerns for her safety, expressing fear that things were spiraling out of control. Her friends were alarmed, but Anna had often brushed off their concerns, masking her struggles behind her duties and the facade of a strong, capable woman. Yet as the days passed, the warning signs became harder to ignore. Anna's behavior grew more erratic. Some said she seemed distant and even fearful, her bright eyes clouded by a sadness that didn't belong. In private moments, she reportedly questioned whether she could continue on her current path, torn between the demands of her role as a stepmother, her work at the church, and the emotional strain she was under. The purchase of the firearm was one of the final pieces of the puzzle. Friends speculated that Anna had been seeking a way to take control of a life that had become overwhelming and unpredictable. The fact that she bought the gun hours before her death only deepened the suspicion that her death may not have been as simple as a suicide. To those who knew her, it was unthinkable that she would resort to such a drastic measure without warning. Yet the police, relying on the evidence at hand, maintained their ruling of suicide. The combination of the weapon purchase, the gunshot wound, and the absence of obvious foul play seemed to support that conclusion. But the doubts persisted. How could a woman so full of life, who had given so much of herself to others, end it all so suddenly? And why would she have chosen such a final violent act in a quiet, isolated place along the river? As the days passed, friends and family struggled to reconcile the woman they had known with the events of that fateful day. They questioned everything: the gunshot, the weapon purchase, the timing of it all. Could someone so passionate, so full of purpose, really have taken her own life? Or was there something more sinister at play, something hidden beneath the surface of a marriage that had never been as stable as it appeared? Anna Cole, a vibrant and loving woman, faced an escalating nightmare in the final months of her life. Trapped in a controlling marriage with David Cole, she lived in constant fear. Just 2 days before her tragic death, Anna filed for divorce, a bold yet desperate move to reclaim her life. In the weeks leading up to her demise, signs of turmoil surfaced. Neighbors heard frequent arguments, and Anna was seen sitting in her car for hours, seemingly lost in thought. Her social media posts became increasingly ominous, with haunting messages that hinted at the darkness consuming her life. Anna's fears were not unfounded. She endured stalking, property damage, and even found a GPS tracker on her car. Her pleas for help were ignored by authorities, leaving her isolated. David weaponized her mental health, committing her to a psychiatric facility under false pretenses and stripping her of resources upon her release. Despite these hardships, Anna secretly gathered evidence against David, storing it in a safe deposit box along with a letter detailing her fears and suspicions about her potential death. Her family, haunted by her warnings, knew she was planning for the future, making her sudden death, officially ruled a suicide, highly suspicious. A private investigator uncovered chilling details, including a call traced to David's phone near the river where Anna's body was found. These findings strengthened the family's belief that Anna's death was not a suicide but the result of foul play. Meanwhile, David's ex-wife Angela collaborated with investigative journalist Cara to reveal a pattern of manipulation and abuse that extended beyond Anna. Evidence pointed to financial ties between David and Susie Skinner, whose husband's mysterious drowning had also benefited David. Leaked emails hinted at a conspiracy, raising questions about how far David's influence reached. Anna's final weeks were marked by paranoia and desperation. She relied on burner phones to avoid David's surveillance, yet he seemed always one step ahead. Her death left her loved ones with unanswered questions and a burning desire for justice, as they continue to piece together the disturbing truths behind Anna's life and tragic end. As investigators delved deeper into Anna Cole's tragic death, a critical piece of evidence went missing. Surveillance footage from a gas station near the river where Anna's body was found was inexplicably erased. This footage could have been instrumental in corroborating David's whereabouts on the night of Anna's death. The gas station manager revealed that someone impersonating a police officer had retrieved the footage, only for local authorities to deny involvement. This pointed to a potential conspiracy, suggesting David's reach extended into local systems, raising alarms about the lengths someone might have gone to protect him. Further investigation revealed a chilling double life David led. While portraying himself as a devout leader in his community, he maintained a secret second home under a shell company's name. This property became the hub of his clandestine activities. Neighbors reported late-night visits from women connected to the church, hinting at manipulative and predatory behavior. When investigators searched the property, they uncovered a hidden room filled with incriminating evidence: hard drives containing footage of David exploiting vulnerable women from his congregation. This discovery shattered the illusion of his public persona and painted him as a predator who exploited his position of trust for personal gain. As the case against David gained momentum, Ty, a crucial witness, died under suspicious circumstances. Days before he was to testify against David, Ty was found dead in his home. The coroner ruled it an overdose, but Ty's family, aware of his sobriety, suspected foul play. Adding to the suspicion, Ty's phone and laptop, containing vital evidence, were missing. The investigators began to see a pattern. Witnesses and evidence central to implicating David were being systematically silenced or destroyed. Ty's death underscored the chilling lengths someone would go to prevent the truth from emerging. Finally, with mounting evidence, David was arrested on charges including financial fraud and obstruction of justice. However, the most damning piece of evidence emerged from a search of his office: a letter written by Susie, David's accomplice and one-time lover. In her unsent letter, Susie confessed her growing fear of David, revealing her belief that he had orchestrated her husband Christopher's death. Her words reflected a deep sense of dread and guilt as she grappled with her complicity in David's schemes. This letter exposed Susie's inner turmoil and hinted at her recognition of David's manipulations. It also pointed to a possible deeper conspiracy behind Christopher's death, tying David's crimes together into a web of greed, control, and betrayal. As the investigation continued, it became clear that David's arrest was just the beginning. His ability to manipulate those around him, including the legal system, suggested a network of influence far more extensive than initially suspected. Each new piece of evidence brought the truth closer to light, but the battle for justice was far from over. For Anna's family and others affected by David's actions, the fight to expose the full scope of his crimes had only just begun. The courtroom was packed during the trial's closing days. Anna's family sat with bated breath, desperate for justice, while David's composed defense team worked tirelessly to maintain his facade of innocence. They argued that David was a misunderstood husband attempting to save a troubled wife, portraying him as caring and compassionate. Yet, to those who knew the truth, these claims were hollow fabrications. In stark contrast, the prosecution depicted David as a controlling manipulator, leveraging power and deception to dominate Anna's life. The The tension in the courtroom reached a fever pitch when a USB drive containing recordings of Anna's voice was introduced. Her desperate pleas to David, saying, "You're suffocating me and I'm afraid," reverberated through the courtroom. This moment struck a deep chord, leaving the jury visibly affected. Despite the weight of Anna's words, the defense attempted to discredit her, suggesting her mental instability made her perceptions unreliable. Their efforts, though unsettling, created doubt. As the trial neared its conclusion, a surprise witness, a former church member, testified anonymously, claiming to have overheard David and Susie discussing plans to secure their future. This implied a long-standing conspiracy. However, under cross-examination, the witness faltered, and without corroborating evidence, their testimony seemed tenuous, weakening its impact on the jury. Just when the case seemed to be drawing to a close, an anonymous tip led police to a hidden storage locker rented under Angela's name. Inside, investigators found Angela's journals, containing raw, emotional accounts of the abuse she endured. Her final entry, "David is a monster and I pray the world finds out soon," was a powerful statement that could have solidified the prosecution's case. Tragically, the timing of this discovery meant it was too late to present the evidence to the jury. The jury, faced with conflicting evidence and narratives, deliberated for hours before ultimately deadlocking. Unable to reach a unanimous verdict, the judge declared a mistrial, a decision that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Anna's family, crushed by the outcome, felt their relentless fight for justice had been in vain. Meanwhile, David, with his usual composure, left the courtroom seemingly vindicated, though his relief hinted at the narrow escape he had just managed. Outside, the mistrial ignited a firestorm of public reaction. Protesters gathered, demanding justice for Anna, while David's supporters claimed the trial was an unjust character assassination. The nation was left polarized, grappling with unresolved questions and a justice system that seemed unable to deliver closure. After the mistrial, Anna's family remained determined to seek justice. Her sister, alongside journalist Kara, began working on a book to document Anna's life, her struggles, and the abuse she endured from David, aiming to ensure her story reached the world. Public opinion was divided. Some supported David, while others believed he orchestrated a sinister plan. Questions about Susie's role, the anonymous tipster's identity, and whether the truth would ever surface continued to loom. Despite the case remaining unsolved, Anna's family vowed to keep fighting for answers, unsure if the truth would bring closure or remain elusive. Thank you for watching. I'm Daniel and this is Darkly Wired. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss our daily uploads as we explore more compelling stories. Stay curious and I'll see you next time.